This is your WCFW Daily News Roundup for 105.7 CFW in Chippewa Falls and 93.5 The Tap in Eau Claire.
For 105.7 CFW News, I'm James Kelly. Western Dairyland Economic Opportunity Council and Hope Gospel Mission's new Day Resource Center at One Better Way in Eau Claire officially opened on Monday. The new downtown facility will be jointly operated by the organizations, offering a wide range of services for the unhoused population in the area, though Western Dairyland will not fully move into the building until next month. Katie Hulbert is the Housing and Family Services Director at Western Dairyland and shared some of the services that will be available at the Day Resource Center starting this week.
So it will be operating Monday through Sunday, 8:30 to 5:30. They will have providers coming in to work with the guests. It will provide as a place for them to shower, do laundry, go to the bathroom, receive services, and also as a warming and cooling shelter.
Hulbert says about 50 people visited the new facility on its first day, and the organization estimates that total will nearly double after Western Dairyland moves into the site next month. Staff members will visit the Day Resource Center for some programs, like handing out free bus passes on Thursdays, but they'll continue offering most of their usual services at their current location on Wisconsin Street until the move.
We are still providing all of our services that we have historically with our housing prevention program, our rapid rehousing program, permanent supportive housing, and our youth housing program, as well as our Work and Wheels transportation and our skills enhancement program. So all of those are still operating right now, just from our building at 418 Wisconsin Street.
The organizations are also still raising funding for the new Day Resource Center through their One Better Way campaign. So far, they've raised about half of their $6.4 million goal. Attorney General Josh Kaul has announced Wisconsin will join another multi-state lawsuit seeking to block actions taken by the Trump administration. According to a press release, the coalition filed a lawsuit last week seeking to block the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services from enforcing a declaration that would limit the ability of young people to receive gender-affirming care. The declaration from earlier this month claims that certain forms of gender-affirming care are unsafe and ineffective and would block healthcare providers and institutions from participating in Medicare and Medicaid. It would also ban payments to healthcare providers who provide that gender-affirming care through Medicaid. The multi-state lawsuit alleges that the declaration violated federal statutes by unlawfully changing medical standards without going through the required notice and comment process, undermining the ability of states to regulate medical care. The lawsuit also argues that the declaration is an overreach by the federal government, as the Department of Health and Human Services does not have the authority to take such action. Governor Tony Evers and the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Corporation have announced the distribution of $2 million in grant funding to support housing insecure residents. According to a press release, the funding will go to 59 organizations across the state to improve emergency shelters, transitional residences, and extremely low-income housing programs. Governor Evers said in a statement the funding will provide essential resources to struggling Wisconsinites, especially those suffering from housing insecurity due to their physical health, substance abuse disorders, or domestic violence. In the western Wisconsin region, Stepping Stones of Dunn County will receive nearly $7,500 for new AC units in 2 shelters and a new heating board in another. Benjamin's House Emergency Shelter in Rice Lake will receive $50,000 for boiler room upgrades and other heating repairs, and Habitat for Humanity of the Greater La Crosse region will receive $11,000 to support new energy-efficient affordable housing developments. Stepping Stones of Dunn County has announced its family shelter on Broadway Street suffered significant damage in a fire on Thursday. According to a social media post on Friday, the organization is working to assess the full extent of the damage caused by the fire. They also noted that the fire was the result of an accident. Stepping Stones of Dunn County recently received nearly $7,500 in grant funding for air conditioning upgrades, and organization officials have not yet determined if the fire damage will impact that funding in any way. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is reminding residents to practice proper snowmobile safety as trails begin to open across the state. According to agency officials, the 2 most common contributors to snowmobile crashes on trails are weak ice conditions and operating while impaired. Officials are reminding snowmobilers to ride sober this winter and monitor ice conditions before heading out. While the DNR does not monitor ice conditions itself, local organizations like fishing clubs and outfitters can provide additional safety information. City of Eau Claire officials are sharing details on a planned $1.3 million construction project with the county and town of Seymour. According to the city manager's weekly report, the project will see the construction of a 10-foot wide path along Birch Street and McKinley Road between River Prairie Drive and State Highway 312. The project is currently scheduled to break ground in 2028, with about 80% of the funding coming from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, nearly 20% from the city and Eau Claire County, and 1% from the town of Seymour. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is sharing the results from the state's 2025 elk hunting season. According to agency officials, the season ran from October 18th to December 19th and resulted in the harvest of 12 elk. Over 26,000 hunters applied for the 2025 season, but only 13 hunters were selected to participate through a random drawing. Agency officials are also reminding hunters that they will begin accepting applications for a 2026 elk hunting license on March 1st. The 2026 season will open on October 17th. For 105.7 CFW News, I'm James Kelly.
Badgers basketball tonight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college hoops. The Wisconsin Badgers host the UWM Panthers tonight at the Kohl Center. Head coach Greg Gard asked, what's he looking for from his team in tonight's game?
Quite frankly, just we got to play harder, and that's something I didn't think we did. When I watched it in person and going through the film, it was obvious. Good teams will make you look foolish if you don't.
NBA, the Bucks beat the Hornets in Charlotte 123-113. Bobby Portis with 25 points, Giannis with 24. It's the first time since October the Bucks have won back-to-back games. The athletic director at UW Platteville has been fired. Michael Knipe was hired a year and a half ago. No details. University officials say it's a personnel matter. NFL, the Packers' Micah Parsons had surgery on his left knee to repair the torn ACL he suffered in Denver 2 weeks ago. The average recovery time is 9 to 12 months. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Mostly cloudy today with a little light snow by late this morning into early afternoon. Just a dusting with a high today right around 29. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We're going to drop into the mid to upper teens tomorrow. Partly to mostly cloudy with a little more light snow and a high in the upper teens to low 20s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Temperature now 6.
That's your WCFW and the TAP Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WCFW.FM or thetap.fm.